Through 2 weeks of this season, who has been the worst quarterback in the NFL? Well, a pretty compelling case could be made that the answer is Carson Wentz. No one has thrown more interceptions. No one has been sacked more times, and no one has made more off-target throws. Since his team was up 17-0 on Washington, the Eagles have scored touchdowns on 2 of 21 drives. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's the banged-up offensive line. Guess what? You're wrong. Our analytics actually have the Eagles 5th in the league in pass protection. The problem has actually been the internal clock and decision-making. Week 1, Wentz took 8 sacks and threw the ball away 0 times. Of his 20 off-target throws this year, 15 have come from a clean pocket. This cannot be described as other people's fault. The truth is this. In 2017, Wentz was an MVP frontrunner before he got hurt. On a team so good it won the Super Bowl without him, beating Tom Brady in a game in which Brady threw for 500 yards and his team didn't punt. The following year, Wentz was 5-6 when he got hurt again. Nick Foles finished 4-1, beat the #1 defense in the league in the playoffs. Meanwhile, the numbers say that since then, Wentz has been an average quarterback. Since that first injury, the Eagles are 14-15 in his starts. They scored 23 points a game, which is exactly the league average, and his QBR is 59.9, exactly the same as Jameis Winston's. Right now, his team is winless. It drafted a quarterback in the 2nd round, and it got booed off the field Sunday in a game with no fans. They get the Bengals this week in what suddenly feels a little bit like a crossroads. If the Eagles wind up on the wrong side of this, figure their city to be an awfully tough place to find any brotherly love. Those are the numbers, regardless of what the coach does or doesn't like to hear. So let me start with you, Dominique Foxworth. Your thoughts as what you have seen thus far from Carson Wentz and just how significant of a problem you think it is.
Well, that was scary to that down barrel that you just did, the numbers that you laid out. But I think first impressions are hard to break. And our first impression was a win as a rookie starter. And then he had that season where he was MVP level play. And that was the perception that that's who Carson Wentz is. And since then, we see by the numbers you put up and the performances that he's put out there that he has not been consistently great. And we saw last year when all the injuries happened and he managed to put this team on his back and he had moments of greatness. But the consistency is the problem with him, and his decision making, I think, is obviously been flawed so far this season and many times throughout last season. So we'll see where he goes from here. But I think we can't completely dismiss the fact that they did draft a quarterback in the 2nd round. And I know it's a quarterback that we think that they want to use like Taysom Hill and put in a bunch of funky situations and create offense that way. But they did draft a quarterback in the 2nd round. That is never a good sign for anyone. If they're drafting at your position, that means your days might be numbered. And I know they're committed to him financially and they're committed to him for the long haul. And it seems that Doug Peterson really has his back. But if his performance does not bounce back, I think they're going to have to find some other way to get him on track, some other plays or some other players to make sure that he can be the best that he can be and this team can live up to their potential.
So, D. Wood, I'm going back to a bold prediction you made here on this show the week before the season started. You predicted that Jalen Hurts would start multiple games this year for Philadelphia. Why did you think that? And do you think we're headed that way?
Well, first of all, it was because of durability issues that Carson Wentz has experienced throughout his career. But, just watching the Philadelphia Eagles, I equate Carson Wentz's play to hero ball, just trying to make the big play all the time. That's why when you talked about the sacks and the 0 throwaways, that's exactly what hero ball is. You can't go broke you can make a profit and don't go broke. Like, right. You take the easy thing, take the easy throw, make the easy throw. That's what Carson Wentz isn't doing right now. And he's scrambling, he's inconsistent, and he can't make the throws necessary in order for his team to be good right now. They're sitting 0-2. Everyone talked about the offensive line. I talked about the offensive line at the beginning of the season because they had some critical injuries, but it has nothing to do with the offensive line. Carson Wentz right now is playing like one of the worst quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah, and look, I think that generally speaking, the conventional wisdom on him has been Neek. The only question mark is his ability to stay healthy, because when he plays, right, he's brilliant. And the numbers don't tell that story. I take no pleasure in saying this. I don't have a horse in the race one way or the other. But Neek, the bottom line of it is the numbers don't tell that story. Do you think there's a real chance he gets benched this year if he doesn't get hurt?
I think that's a stretch. It could happen at some point if they're out of the playoff race, but I don't see them benching this guy because they've committed so much money to him and they've committed this team to them going forward, or they've committed to him going. They're committed to him if they're going to have to make a championship run. And this roster, I think, is built to win right now.
We shall see. Again, I predict that he will play well this week against Cincinnati and quiet some of this, but the numbers are the numbers. As we continue. Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.